On today's show, 3 questions. Number 1, is crypto dead? Number 2, are we all headed to Mars? And number 3, what's your retirement tax bill?
Consult an advisor or conduct your own due diligence when making financial decisions. General principles discussed during this program do not constitute personal advice. This program is furnished by Dentist Advisors, a registered investment advisor.
Welcome to Dentist Money's 2 cents, where we help dentists navigate all the noise. I'm Matt.
I'm Will.
And I'm Jake.
Yeah, you are. Guys, second week in a row without Robbie. How are we feeling?
I feel good. I mean, we love Robbie. We miss him. This is a fun little change up. This episode's coming out tomorrow. It'll be before the Spurs Thunder game. You guys have a prediction
what are you calling?
for who's
What
winning?
are you calling?
That's what I was going to ask. I would love for the Spurs to win.
I think I am too. I actually think the Spurs are going to beat him. Will?
You don't know, my take is that I think that we're going to get so sick of the Spurs over the next 10 years that I want to postpone the greatness a little bit. Like, I'd be okay if OKC wins, because we're just going to be so overwhelmed with the Spurs. They're so young and good that I'd be okay with them faltering this year, because we're going to be dealing with them for the next 10 years.
Here's my thing, though. So I agree with that for the most part. Here's what's funny, and this is going to lead into your
I know this. I kind of have a
Jake.
planning topic with this. I think you're going to say this, Matt.
Well, yeah. So here's what's so interesting about, all of us as people, and then how this pertains to sports. I feel like every time somebody finds success in sports, we're like, this is a dynasty. Like, I remember Jokic in Denver. It's like, this is the start of a run of the greatest player of all time.
What about the Celtics a couple of years ago? The Celtics won with the young guys. Like, they're going to win the next 5 championships. Haven't been back to the conference finals once.
Think of the Thunder. Like, if the Thunder end up losing this game 7,
think about the Thunder last year. We're like, the Thunder are going to win 5 championships in a row. And then it's like, oh, Wemby comes along and maybe they're not going to.
By the way, if Halliburton doesn't get hurt in game 7, who knows if they even win last year?
I love this point. I think, especially the NBA too, I think we always say like everyone is saying that like these 2 teams are going to be in the conference finals for the next 10 years. If you just gave me like over under 2 championships, like moving forward for both these teams, I'm going under both times. Like, if you just think about like the 2017 Warriors, who are the best team of all time, that might be a hot take for people listening.
I mean, regular season for sure.
I think they are. They only won 2 championships by like the best team ever. Like, I think these things change as we go over time.
There's just so much talent. Yeah.
I am putting my flag. Like, I'm kind of a hater on Wemby. I'm kind of anti Wembanyama.
He's so amazing. But and Dylan Harper looks unreal. Should we just make this a sports podcast?
I know. How many minutes?
Let's just go. Okay, forget the financial topics for dentists. Let's just.
I have a lot of
NFL schedule release. We got lots to talk about. Yeah,
I'm all in on the Eagles this year. New OC. Okay, we can't do this. Michelle's already rolling her eyes right now on this. And Robbie, as we've already said, he listens to this before bed. He's in China, sleeping right now. Sweet dreams, Robbie. Okay, so
we can segue this though.
We're going to segue this because we do the same thing with investments and companies and all this stuff. And we've done it with crypto. We did it with NFTs. Like, it's the next thing. It's changing everything. Bitcoin specifically. Jake, hot take. Is crypto dead? Is it official?
It might be. Yeah, we do this all the time with the new, I don't know. I don't want to call crypto a fad. That feels a bit disrespectful to what crypto's been able to do over the past 15 years or so, and Bitcoin in particular.
Is it on the fad spectrum or?
Yes, I think NFTs for sure. If you remember the NFT, things like those are just like a complete fad thing. Bitcoin's had some staying power.
Are Labubus a fad?
Can I ask you guys? Yes, probably. How many of your clients, just anecdotally, how many are still holding crypto? Do you still have quite a few?
Couple.
Just a couple.
And I never get asked about it anymore, like ever.
Yeah. I think a handful, but the asking about should we invest into, get into it and carve out a chunk of our portfolio for it has cooled off for sure.
Do you remember, by the way, really quick, we just got to throw this out. Every time we talk about this, I have to just call this out. Do you remember at its peak, people were literally saying, if you are an advisor not pitching this to your clients, you should be fired.
Yes.
You shouldn't be an advisor. You're irresponsible. Like, do you remember this? Their articles were coming out left and right. People on Twitter, like, if you're not bringing this up to clients, you should be fired. Just want to call that out.
Vividly. And that's why I like to bring up these topics periodically and just go back and revisit, because I think it gives us some hindsight now looking back on things. It gives us some info, probably what we're talking about with Will and things in his next topic here. But Mark Cuban for people who was the Mavericks owner. He's not the Mavericks owner anymore.
He's still minority, yeah?
Still minority owner, I guess. Yeah, he's on Shark Tank. I think most people know who Mark Cuban is. Especially people who are listening to a podcast like this. But Mark Cuban was one of the biggest advocates for Bitcoin, I think, in the past. He's always kind of like, he's one of those millionaires, people in the public eye that like to be on the bleeding edge of things and get out in front of things. And he was always buying a lot of Bitcoin, saying stuff. Recently, this past week, he has a quote here where he said, "Bitcoin has lost the plot. I always thought it was a better version of gold than gold. Well, gold just blew up, Bitcoin dropped, and it's not the hedge I expected it to be." He says he's sold most of his Bitcoin, and he thinks meme coins are garbage. So he's kind of done a full 180 here. He was one of the biggest advocates for Bitcoin. He's like, this is awesome. It's part of the future. And now he's done a big about face on that, which, I want to talk about Bitcoin prices and where it's at here shortly. But just to the Mark Cuban point, I think this is like, one point I want to make here is there's always these people in the public eye who you hear about who will promote one thing or another. And I just feel like we shouldn't be listening to these people. Okay, like, is that crazy? Like, all of these billionaires are trying to get into some different things, and they always will hear about it on Twitter or social media, and you want to get in on it too. You feel like you need to be keeping up with these people. I think most of them are just promoting stuff off the cuff, and they're maybe not investing it in themselves. I just feel like we need to stop listening to Mark Cuban types of the world for like financial advice and things that we're doing here, because they'll just flip flop and they'll do whatever's convenient for them at the moment. It's really not impactful for them. They have so much money, it doesn't really matter.
Well, you never know. You never know what their incentive is either.
Yeah.
And I also would say, yeah, I totally agree with that, Jake. I also would say, like, a billionaire or someone with that massive level of success in something, let's take a Jeff Bezos or Cuban, like these billionaires, it doesn't mean they know everything. Like, they were massively successful for sure in their business. And I'm not even calling it luck. There was certainly components of luck, but it doesn't mean you know everything about everything. And I think we fall into this fallacy of like, oh, you're a billionaire, so you must know more than everyone. And I just don't think that's true.
It's also like they have incentive to push their narrative, right? I would assume that if they're saying that these things are going to, whatever thing they've got their, hand in the cookie jar in, they're going to say it's awesome. So that other people think it's awesome because they have influence. And I think that, I haven't seen I've been watching the NBA the NBA conference finals, the NBA playoffs. I haven't seen a single cryptocurrency advertisement. And if you remember, like 2 years ago, it was like every other one was fortune favors the brave and all those. Like, and so it's interesting that even just that, like the social aspect of it has died down a lot from people talking about it and advertisements, in your face type stuff.
Well, the reason is because Bitcoin is down 40%. From its highs. And whenever an asset like that drops 40%, people are willing to do commercials and talk about it and tell their friends to get in when they're making money in it. But then when it turns the other way, you'll see a lot of this chatter die off. And I think, so Bitcoin is down over the past 12 months, about 30%.
They're just under 32.
Which I think is noteworthy for the reason of everything else has gone up, like over the past year. Like everything. Look at any segment of the market, emerging markets, developed markets, different sectors have all gone up. Gold has gone up. Silver is up. Kind of everywhere you look, markets are doing really well. The one thing that isn't is Bitcoin and a lot of these crypto. And so I think that's noteworthy that in a time where money seems to be abundant and everything in the market's going up, why is crypto down 30% over the past year? That decoupling from, like, usually, again, it's always followed kind of in the past. Bitcoin has been essentially tracked like big tech, and the Mag 7 is what it's tracked. But it's decoupled over the past couple of years. And as those companies have taken off, it's really petered out.
That is one thing that I think Cuban makes a good point about, is like...
So I just find that noteworthy, that while everything else, that's what makes me say, like, is crypto dead? This might be the end of it, because money is everywhere. All these other markets and segments of the market are going up, but Bitcoin is not. I find that a bit worrying.
Yeah.
There.
Well, again, as Cuban said, it's lost the plot. What is Bitcoin anymore?
Well, it's never done anything. I mean, it never did anything before. We just thought it would do something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Spoiler alert. So we'll see if it recovers. I'm just curious in it because I still do have clients who hold it. I think it's still not top of mind for people, but in people's minds. I just find it curious. I wonder, like, this is just a good lesson in as these things come along. Maybe you don't need to throw all your money into these new fads.
Yeah, I do have a client who about a year-ish ago, I had to push back pretty hard on him because he wanted to put just far too much of his retirement assets in Bitcoin. It like had an initial dip, and he was like, "I think this is a buy opportunity," and he was like pushing pretty hard on it, and I was pushing back pretty hard. And I was like, I mean, like my take on all this stuff always is like, hey, listen, this is your money. It's not my money, but it's my job. It's kind of the whole thing we've always talked about. You might fire me for saying this, but you dang well better fire me if I don't. And I pushed back pretty hard. We found a middle ground because he wanted to do like 50% of his portfolio, sizable portfolio in Bitcoin. And very, very happy he did not do that.
Now, still, Bitcoin is up 800% since 2020, right?
Yeah, and there's probably going to be another rally, but I guess what?
Okay, well, that's the point. Like I think we can maybe argue on is I think a lot of people might think, okay, well, it's down 30%. There's going to be another rally. Will there?
If there is, it's going to be something driven by sentiment, right? Something where vibes yeah.
But the vibes are good now. That's the funny thing. Like everything is going up. So why isn't it going up now?
Yeah.
Well, no, but I think what you're saying, Will, is Bitcoin is now officially in the category of GameStop, right? Like it's kind of like there might be another jump at some point.
All it takes is a couple people starting to get it to go up, and then it starts going up, and then people jump on the ship, and it goes up high.
But it won't be backed by anything because it never has been.
Right.
I just don't know why that's not happening now with everything else. And even I've heard people make the argument is like AI stolen crypto's thunder a little bit, like all these AI stocks and all these semiconductors, people are going into those instead of Bitcoin.
But I would assume at the minute that the market turns in some way, shape, or form, there's always going to be a narrative, and there's enough people that have enough invested in cryptocurrency that it is going to, like the narrative will continue to be pushed in some way, shape, or form. It's quiet right now, but I'm assuming there's going to be some other wave of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, there could be for sure. I also think there's a legitimate chance these eventually just go away.
Yeah.
Was it the fun thing to invest in, but now there are other fun AI things to invest in that is taking its place?
Yeah.
Could be.
It's interesting. Okay.
Can you imagine if eventually, like truly, like Bitcoin just goes away, just like disappears? I don't think it's crazy to say.
Yeah. I don't think it's crazy either. There's no use case for it.
I mean, NFTs have zero utility, zero value. Yeah. Like anyone who put money into them has nothing left.
A lot of these other games, we're talking about Bitcoin, crypto, there are thousands of coins still that have like no value, but Bitcoin's the main one.
I saw something today that said Ethereum has had 10 straight days of like net withdrawals, net money coming out rather than in. So it's an interesting, I don't think that's ever happened before is what it said. So
interesting.
Is it just getting all the fad money, and now the fad money is going towards semiconductors and AI companies?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Memory chips,
all that stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess anything else on this, or any like principles we want to pull from this?
No, I mean, we could be wrong too. So this could be an old take exposed at some point.
Wrong.
But
we're never wrong. We put ourselves out there. We're fine with predictions.
I think people include this. I do not think Bitcoin, it's at $70,000 currently.
73. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to make a little prediction here.
You're going to make a prediction? Let's do this.
I think over the next year or two, it's not getting to 100 again.
Okay.
Is my prediction. If it's not moving up now, then I don't know what's going to cause it to go up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Over, under, worthless in 5 years.
I would say over for sure. But that would be wild.
Wild.
It is wild. The only tie-in I would make to dentistry, or obviously for our audience, coming back to what we were saying about like being careful who you listen to, with these billionaires and whatnot. I just did a podcast. It'll come out here in another month or two around real estate, and it just be careful with who you listen to. And we're not even talking billionaires. We're talking like within dentistry. How many times, guys, do you hear of a dentist who built a really successful dental practice or multi-location practice, ended up selling, becoming really liquid, and then turning around and getting back into a dental adjacent something and going after dentists to raise funds for some other project, real estate or private investments of some kind. I just think there's something to be said there because this seems so rampant in dentistry. And I think just the PSA there is just be really careful who you're listening to. Us included, by the way. Be careful with us. You never know.
We're not. We always say we're not the arbiters of all financial truth, right? We don't
Not
know
all
everything.
of it, but like 89%.
Maybe a lot
of
of it. Yeah. So I always interrogate who you're listening to. My biggest thing is most of these people in the public eye that like they're not hold to their takes. Right? Mark Cuban was all in on Bitcoin, and now he's all out on Bitcoin, and there's no repercussions really for him. But if you're following someone out there, a dentist following this advice, there could be serious repercussions for you. And he's kind of just shooting from the hip and saying stuff. And so I'm always just like, have some sort of plan in place, try and be intentional about this. Don't get worked up when some person says something just off the cuff.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of what I was
well,
saying.
And Cuban's I think in some hot water, depending on the political affiliation that you follow, because now he's riding shoulder to shoulder with Trump. So
aren't they all in some sort of hot water? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's always in hot water politically, it feels like, no matter what. Okay, that was great. I think it's a good start to this. Let's transition to more kind of tech bro-y, finance-y bro-y topics. That's just the kind of the nature of today. Will, are we all headed to Mars?
We might be. Yeah, we might be headed there. So we'll have to see if the space frontier is coming to markets near you, June 12th. And you guys talked about this last week a little bit, but I think it's important
but more's come out since. Yeah.
So the prospectus came out. So if anyone's looking for some weekend reading, it's the SpaceX IPO prospectus is electric. It's got 270 pages of basically this, space exploration slash AI slash social media company that's now going public on June 12th. And it's, I think, probably the most hyped IPO we can remember in a long time. Yeah. I can't remember another one this hyped.
The one I mentioned last week, and this is just because it was the role I had at the time. I was like in the thick of all this when I was a trader at Fidelity. Facebook was pretty wild.
Right.
But again, it's probably biased because of the role I was in. But I remember it being pretty crazy, pretty hyped.
Apparently, they're the Dow is changing some rules to fast track IPO companies into the S&P 500 and the Dow and like the indices. So, I think this is all because of SpaceX. It'll be crazy to see like SpaceX be in the S&P 500 in short order. I don't know how that's going to happen, but that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Speaking of just insane billionaires, by the way, who just like. Elon just blows me away. Yeah. I'll just say that. No take on his political affiliation whatsoever. He's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it's
everything he does.
It seems fake, kind of like a movie character.
He seems fake.
Yeah,
it's so wild.
Yeah,
it's like how do you do all this?
So the word Mars appears 63. Yeah, the word Mars appears 63 times in the document, including under the executive compensation section. The SpaceX board granted Musk an award of 1 billion restricted shares on the condition that he guides the company to two milestones: a 7.5 trillion market cap and a permanent human colony on Mars with at least 1 million inhabitants. So that's a good little KPI to shoot for.
What if that's in your your CEO comp structure of, hey, get us a civilization on Mars is part of your deal there?
Well, you gotta hit 1 million inhabitants. You can't just get us there. You gotta hit 1 million people.
You can't put up like a lamppost. You got to get people there living.
Yeah, 100%. Let's just go through a couple other of these. This is so SpaceX as a company, lost a bunch of money last year. It's Starlink.
$5 billion, wasn't it, Jake?
Yeah.
I think billion. A bunch is underselling it. Yeah, it was. Yep. Quite a bit.
And that's they attribute it mostly to the AI portion of their company is losing a ton of money as they build out these data centers. Basically they said there was a section in the prospectus called Our Challenges, and it says the company says it aims to deploy orbital AI compute satellites as early as 2028. Plans to establish a lunar economy, transport humans and cargo to the moon and Mars, and develop human augmentation systems. Unproven technologies or technologies that don't exist. These products may not achieve commercial viability. We believe the next paradigm shift for humanity is the creation of a resilient, perpetually expanding spacefaring civilization that drives continuous innovation across new frontiers.
Wow.
So Like you said, it feels like a movie.
Yeah.
I actually like reading a prospectus like that because it is interesting. Like you said, like this is so much different than maybe 99% of the prospectuses that you'll read from these companies. Like, hey, we're trying to go to space and become a spacefaring people is hilarious.
Harness the full energy. Yeah, harness the full energy output of the sun. It said something like, we want to be, anyways. Yeah, what are you going to say, Jake?
I was just going to say, the reason we're bringing this up, and you are, Will, is we are getting questions about this, right? Yeah. From clients and from dentists.
Got a text the other day, yesterday.
We're asking about, like, how do I get into this? What's the deal here? What can we expect? And so that's why we're bringing it up, is I think it's top of mind for a lot of people. Again, obviously we don't know what's going to happen. So the IPO date's listed for June 12th, right, Will? That's like when it's set to be listed, we think, right? That could change.
Also, keep in mind, it's the largest allocation to retail brokers they've ever had. 30% is right. I think, Will, you can confirm that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's the largest they've ever had, but the demand for it is high as it's ever been. So just like I told people when I worked at Fidelity, chances of you getting getting in on this is really difficult. So
yes, I would just say for getting in on any type of IPOs, but particularly for one like this that is going to be extremely hyped and publicized, it's probably going to have a volatile ride to start, would be my guess. Like I feel pretty confident saying like the first couple of weeks to the first month.
Pump and dump, maybe? Who knows?
Yes, or a roller coaster could go up and down. Like I could see huge swings, right, the first couple of days. So if you're looking like, hey, I maybe want to buy in here, what should my strategy be? First of all, we always say, just like with the Bitcoin thing, I would not put any sort of money into this that would jeopardize your financial future or retirement, right? We kind of off the bucket, like make this, if you are looking to get in, this is maybe something fun for you. You're looking to take a bit of a risk, have a certain portion of your portfolio. We do recommend a small portion. Where if SpaceX IPO goes awesome and it's everything you ever wish for, then that's great. But if it's not, you still can put food on the table for your family or retire, right? Things there. So that's what I'd say there. The other thing is I don't know if there is a strategy. I would expect a ton of volatility that first month, a ton of swings. Who knows what's going to happen? I have no clue. It's going to be crazy.
Wealth is not usually built by like timing an IPO perfectly. It's just not ever, especially a one like this, a hyped IPO. It's going to be, obviously it's going to be a longer term hold, but you go through like the stocks that have grown a ton that like people made a bunch of money on. They weren't hyped IPOs like this. It wasn't ever, when I would assume, that when Micron or Nvidia, all these people IPO'd way back when, they didn't foresee a future that it had this stock price today, but it also wasn't this clamoring IPO to have everyone jump on the train at the same time. And it's not going to be a wealth building strategy to get it on SpaceX early. If anything, you may want to wait a couple months, see where the dust settles, and then get in on it if you're really bullish on the future of the company.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and we covered the numbers last week. Some IPOs have crushed. Facebook being the one I brought up.
Right.
Since then, if you held it the whole time, it's done incredibly well.
Sure.
But you got to hold it through all the ups and downs,
Right.
Even Nvidia, I think it was 2018, Nvidia dropped 80%.
Yeah. You got to be willing to hold it through that.
You're going to hold it through that? Yeah. So, we've mentioned this so many times around kind of the old saying from our boy Daniel Crosby, who's going to be at our summit in a couple weeks. Get rich quick, get poor quick, two sides of the same coin. So just to your point, Jake, okay, you want to mess around and have fun? Great, have some fun, but just do it within the bounds of a long-term plan.
I think I've been making a lot of predictions on this podcast. And
this is Prediction Central. Let's just keep going. Go ahead.
I will say, if you invest in SpaceX IPO kind of initially, you're going to regret it after a year.
Ooh, okay.
Pretty confidently, I'll say that. That you will not.
Book it.
You're going to regret it.
Let's recap really quick. Spurs are winning it all. Or Spurs are winning
I would like
Game
them
7.
to win. I think OKC is going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, you think OKC is going to win?
Yes. I want the Spurs to win. I think OKC is going to win.
Oh, I think the Spurs are going to beat them. That's my prediction.
That'd be great.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, I was just going to say his second one was Bitcoin's not getting above 70 over the next 2 years.
No, above 100.
Oh, above 100. Okay.
And now
SpaceX, you will regret investing in this space.
Have me on this podcast a year from today, and let's talk about the SpaceX price point. And
hey, I am not going to lie, Will. Jake and I specifically, I'm going to call us both.
You've been nailing them.
We kind of nailed some things. We nailed last year's S&P.
Yeah.
We were a little tentative to give the S&P this year. I think Jake kind of backed away a little bit. I actually am so far very, very wrong. But
now I do want to say this, like it would be naive, I think, of me or us to say that like this SpaceX thing isn't going to work out, because obviously there are a lot of smart and educated people who are like, this is going to be a big deal. This is a crazy company with crazy ambitions. It has Starlink, and maybe, I don't know if people have talked about like Tesla possibly being like, I think people have imagined a future where all of Elon's companies get rolled up into one company is eventually the end game for a lot of this, like Tesla and Starlink and all these, AI and Grok get, wrapped up into just one company.
His OG PayPal, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Yes. But I think like there are a lot of smart people underwriting and getting in on this, like smarter people than us, who are like, this company is going to be awesome. And it is a buy and hold company for the next 10 to 20 years because we eventually are going to Mars or whatever, and you're going to make a
million
money.
People. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think that's fine. Like if you want to like have that view, that's great. I am talking just in the short term. My bet is like over the next year, you're going to regret getting in on the IPO and kind of holding it for a year. You're probably not going to, I would say you're going to have a negative return. I'll just go out and like you're a negative return over the next year.
I'll just say like, yes, the company is clearly built on hype right now. And that's exciting for a lot of people. They're losing money. The data centers are all needing to be built. They got to take data centers to space. Like it's not like a short-term fix for a lot of these things.
He's trying to bring one to Utah.
Yeah, right.
The biggest one in the world.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Manhattan or something is what I saw. It's crazy. Anyways, all I'm saying is like all of this is still at the very infancy of building out this infrastructure. In the meantime, you've got to be okay with understanding that the price movement, all of it is just clearly based on hype and future hope of a future execution to go to, do all these crazy things they're thinking about.
Yeah. And by the way, you're going to be exposed to this if you're investing in a globally diversified portfolio. Like you're going to find exposure in your portfolio. Jake, we talked about this not on the podcast, but just internally around what percentage of stocks actually drive returns over the last 100+ years. It's like a very small percentage. So if SpaceX crushes, it does incredibly well, and you're investing in a globally diversified portfolio in equities, you're going to see the benefits, just with any other winner that's been out there. But
okay, well, we'll revisit this in a year from now. I'll come on and we'll talk about if I was incredibly right or incredibly wrong.
We'll tell you if you were wrong.
Yeah, you can let me know.
We will. Yeah.
We'll make
you
sure that
clearly don't think the last quote I'll give it just to finish this off is we want to extend the light of consciousness to the stars. So clearly you don't want to extend the light of consciousness to the stars, Jake.
I'm a hater. Are we going? We're not going to Mars soon. What? Right? Like this civilization on Mars, is that happening in 20 years? No way.
Is it happening in our lifetime?
It's a little tongue in cheek because if you look at so this is another, maybe we can finish with this. This is maybe bringing it up as we go. Did you see the total addressable market that they put in the prospectus was the biggest one ever? It's
because it's aliens too.
Well, that's kind of the whole point. Yeah. 28.5 trillion, almost the entire output of the U.S. economy.
Is their TAM?
Is their TAM. Yeah. So, but they believe 22 of the 28 is going to be AI enterprise applications. AI infrastructure is 2.4 trillion. Starlink is 870 billion. AI consumer subscription, 760 billion. Starlink, 740. AI digital advertising, 600. And space-enabled solutions is 370. So it's fun. Like space gets all the space stuff gets the talk, right? But it's really, they think 95, it's Starlink and an AI company. And I think it's going to be this like space AI company where I genuinely think they're trying to take like the data centers into space somehow, some way, some form. So
Starlink is awesome.
Yeah.
It just feels pretend. Those numbers that you just reviewed, it's just fake. It feels so, it's like, here's a prediction. The only thing that's really going to come of this, perhaps, is that Elon's going to become the first ever trillionaire.
Yeah. That's a good prediction. Yeah.
I think that's pretty likely.
Yeah.
And people are going to invest in this and have like a 3% return after 1 year. And it'll just be like, yeah, it's really just, it was a big nothing burger.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. I like it. Well, for now, we have to respond to the fervor and, the hype and try to get our clients in on it if we possibly can, and probably disappoint everybody. It's like, we're just a lowly little boutique firm for dentists. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if we can get you a SpaceX. We'll see. Okay, let's shift gears to, we went from tech bro, crypto bro, tech bro, or space bro to nerdy retirement plan or retirement social security. So I got a message from a client with a link this past week, and it was an article, and here's the title of the article: How a 401k balance over 900,000 quietly pushes 85% of Social Security into the taxable income column. First of all, I told him this. I'm not going to call that full clickbait, but it's certainly on the clickbait spectrum. It's somewhere there. Like, it just seems very specific, and I think it's a little bit deceiving and it's scary when you're like, because he was like, what is this? Like, Social Security tax, what does that mean in retirement?
Yeah.
When you see 85%,
it's trying to like scare you into taxes, but it's like, isn't the first line of that a 401k over 900,000? Isn't that a good thing? Like, don't you?
Yeah, it would be a great thing for sure.
Do you want to have less money in a 401k so you pay less tax on Social Security? So you have less money?
Yeah, exactly. So he was just concerned. He's like, hey, what do we do about this? Because he's got a very sizable 401k, and he's on the younger side from a retirement perspective. He's in his 50s. And so let's break this down first and kind of explain what all this means. So Social Security income is may or may not be taxable to you. This is a whole other discussion. I kind of think it's bullcrap, but it is. They tax you on the system you paid into your whole life. Then you get paid out of that system, and then you pay tax on that.
And can we just say all of the people then just listening to this will pay tax on your Social Security? The people who don't, is a very low income threshold.
So I'm going to break that. You're exactly right, Jake. That's the first thing that I told him is we got to understand what we're dealing with here. When you read an article that's like, I'm going to get taxed on this because of my 401k, it's like, okay, maybe, but like, you're probably going to get taxed on your Social Security anyway. And the reason being is the thresholds for taxable income are quite low. So I'll break that down really quick. There's really 3 thresholds or 3 brackets, if you will. So if you're a single filer and you have income in retirement, once you're taking Social Security of under $25,000 as a single filer, you get your income tax free. If you are 25 to 34,000, up to 50% of your benefit is considered taxable, and then over 34,000 as a single filer, up to 85% of your benefit is taxable. So just to be clear, we're saying 85% of your income becomes taxable income, not 85% of your income, or not an 85% tax rate.
Right. Yeah,
I've actually heard
of your
people say
benefit
that
is
before.
taxable. Yes. So technically, 85% of your benefit is taxable.
Yes. And then for joint filing, under 32,000, 32 is not. 32 to 44,000 is 50%. And then over anything you make over $44,000 of income in retirement is 85% of your benefit will then become
Which is essentially saying, like, if you plan on spending more than 45 grand a year in retirement, your Social Security benefit is going to be taxed.
Pretty much. And so, Len, let's break down really quick what counts and doesn't count, kind of the broad categories when it comes to income and retirement. So Roth, and we're going to get to this as part of the strategy to consider here, but Roth, IRA, or 401ks do not count for income in retirement. So if you had everything in Roth, Roth truther here, if you had every single dollar in Roth, that was the only bucket you'd filled over your lifetime, and you were to go pull money out of that, it's tax-free income, does not end up on the tax ledger at all, taxable income. HSA distributions for qualified medical expenses do not count as income. So if you had a lot of HSA, you had a lot of Roth, that's all your income, you wouldn't be taxed on any of that, and your Social Security would be considered tax-free. Here's one that gets tricky, and this is where Dennis gets tripped up, or this is where it will hurt you. Qualified dividends and long-term capital gains count. So they're not, this is what it gets confusing. Capital gains, like if you have a large brokerage account and you take a large capital gain, let's say $100,000 in 1 year, you sell $100,000 worth of stock, capital gains. That's taxed at capital gains rates. Assume that you held it for at least a year, but it shows on your actual income for a calculation of what your Social Security would be taxed at. Did I say that clearly or not?
Yes. So if you take $100,000 distribution from your brokerage account, you sold stock, that's getting taxed at likely in retirement 15%.
15 to 20,
rates. Maybe it could be 20. 20 would be quite a bit of spending there. But yeah, so you're reporting the $100,000 on your tax return that you made $100,000 of income.
Yep, exactly.
Which would put you over that Social Security threshold, which would cause 85% of your Social Security to be taxed.
Correct. Yep. The last one, municipal bond interest, also counts as income that would go against this. So tax-exempt interest is explicitly added back into combined income. So the federal exemption on interest does not shield you from Social Security taxation. So again, you're not being taxed at the federal level at ordinary income rates at all, but it is added back for the calculation of whether or not your Social Security is going to be taxed. So again, the line is, if you're a dentist listening to this, Will, to your point earlier, congratulations. If you've got multiple 7 figures or 900,000, whatever, if you've got multiple 6 figures, a large portfolio in pre-tax money or any form of money and assets, great. That's the whole point. But, and also, if you think you're going to avoid taxation on Social Security in retirement, it's going to be pretty dang tough to be able to do that.
I just think it's such a backwards way to think. Like, don't save money so that you don't pay tax on that. I just can't. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't save money for retirement so you're not taxed on Social Security.
Yeah.
The only person that would ever make sense for is somebody who's going to strictly only live off Social Security, which then again, you've got to be okay with living off of $4,000 a month.
Yep.
And
yeah. And that's a good point, Will. A lot of these articles that we get sent to us, a lot of times we have to say like, hey, they're not talking to a dentist. They're not talking to you.
Yeah.
You make 4 to 5 times the average American. You
spend 2 to 4 to 5
2
times
to
the
3 to
average
4 or 5
American.
times the average American. You need 4 to 5, 6 times the average American. It's not talking to you. So there's that. But also the question is, well, are there things you can do to possibly minimize this? The answer to that is for sure. A couple of things. Number one, you can put everything into Roth now.
Yeah.
So you can just not build up traditional accounts.
Pay your taxes now. Skip
Sure.
Social Security tax later. Pay your taxes now.
That's the question, Will. Like I would argue, depending on where your income level is, Jake, we were just talking about a client of ours makes a good chunk of money, certainly in the highest tax bracket. He's a Roth truther. He's like, I'm going Roth no matter what. Despite what we've shown him of like, hey, tax efficiently, you should be maximizing pre-tax accounts. You're going to most likely be in a lower bracket later. He's like, don't care, willing to pay the tax now. If that's the case, great. If that's what you're willing to do over your lifetime, most likely you're paying more in tax than anything you'd pay on Social Security income.
To clarify that, the main reason for that is when you're contributing to a 401k or a traditional retirement account right now, you are saving, and if you're a dentist in like the 32, 35, or 37% marginal tax brackets, you're getting that benefit now. And most of the time in retirement, your tax rate is not going to be 37%.
Yep.
First of all, tax rates across American history just keep going down. Funnily enough, like everyone's like, are we going to get higher taxes? I know there's big political parties that push for higher taxes, taxing the rich, etc. It keeps going down. Really hard to raise taxes in America, apparently.
Yep.
So that's one. The second is just about like 80% of people don't pay any taxes in retirement. Now, most of our dentists will be in that 20% that will pay some because you have higher spending and lifestyles I want to pull from. But again, you're essentially getting taxed on in retirement. You're getting taxed on your spending, essentially, and not like right now you're getting taxed on your income. And so it is very easy. Like if you have like $150,000 to $200,000 worth of spending right now in retirement that you want to withdraw from different buckets and accounts, it's likely your tax, like your effective tax rate's like 12 to 15%, right?
Yep.
So you're essentially taking a benefit. Like I'm taking the deduction at 35%, and in retirement, I'm going to pay, 12 to 20%. And that's the tax arbitrage.
That's worth reemphasizing really quick, Jake, is that I think gets lost a lot of times. Forget tax rates and the things you can't control. The bottom line is you contribute at your marginal rate and you withdraw at your effective rate. That right there is, if you just remembered that your marginal rate is always higher than your effective rate. Always. It's just math. So if you make the savings at your marginal rate and you withdraw at your effective rate, when most likely your income is way down on paper, probability wise, your tax bill on that withdrawal is far lower than the tax savings that you had in your working years. especially for a dentist. So that's why if we're really getting into it, like we don't advocate for most people making 4, 5, 6, 700 plus thousand, which a lot of our clients are doing, to only go Roth. So even to avoid this issue. One other thing I want to add really quick, and I want to throw it to you, Will. Another strategy that we utilize all the time and we heavily advocate for, it takes a lot of detailed planning and strategy here. And this is what I told my client as well, is when you have these gap years, let's say like he's in his 50s and he's retired and has a ton of money and he's doing great, but he's going to have a gap between him now and then his RMD years, which is 73. And so we can start shifting those assets now from his pre-tax bucket to his Roth. We call them just Roth conversions. Yes, you're taxed on that money. We have to run the numbers to see what makes sense, but you start filling up the lower buckets now, pay the tax now, invest the money back into Roth, grow it over the next 15, 20 years. And by the way, now the Roth is removed from that calculation of Social Security. So there are ways to do it. You just got to be really thoughtful and strategic about it.
Yep. It's all planning. It's all just having a good, solid, like dialed in plan, and you can optimize this. This is one where, Matt, we had that podcast about like simplicity versus optimization. Yep. This is an optimization play. Really, it is. If you have a good planner and a good, your financial advisor and your CPA are working in tandem on this, you can arbitrage a lot of taxes. You can put tax money away at the highest brackets, pay them in lower brackets, get them growing tax-free with Roth conversions. It's a really great strategy. We implement it for most of our clients who enter some semblance of an early retirement.
Yep.
And it's powerful.
Right now, the married filing jointly, like their tax brackets go 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, 37. That's kind of how they go. The 12% tax bracket for couples that are, I'm assuming just like filing jointly here, with the standard deduction, you can like get up to $130,000, $140,000 before moving beyond the 12% tax bracket. And so that's like one of those things, if you're in retirement, it's like, okay, I'm going to take my Social Security checks. They maybe come out to $30,000, $40,000 for the year, maybe $50,000. Let's say I have a rental property that brings me another $30,000 for the year. So now I have like $60,000 of income. It's like you can actually distribute them. Like at that point, you could distribute like $70,000 from your pre-tax accounts, like a 401k, move them over to Roth, and that like $70,000 would be taxed at 12%, which is a pretty low tax rate if you took the deduction at 37.
There it is. You took the savings at 37%.
Yep, and you're moving it over at 12%, and it's like I just filled up my bucket up to like $130,000, and now I'm just getting my tax rate's only 12%.
Yep,
that's great.
Yeah, and this is why we advocate so much for widening your lens of how you think about taxes. Thinking about it over the course of your career and life versus year to year.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. And also thinking about it at a family level versus just you individually. But really the biggest thing is if you can widen your time frame and lens of taxes, lifetime tax bill, not year to year tax bill, I think it makes a huge difference. And that's what planning is all about. That's what we're thinking about. But it's just not the sexy fun stuff that gets people real geared up on a weekend,
Yeah. Read the SpaceX IPO.
Yeah, they want to read the SpaceX IPO. So anyway, anything else you guys want to add to this? I just thought it hopefully was helpful to think about or to address, because this is a lot of things that dentists are going to face either now or later.
Like the discussion of being conscious of what buckets of money you're filling up for retirement. Right, like using, I like that idea of like, we have a client who's like, I don't want to have to deal with taxes in retirement, and I'm okay paying the taxes now, and I don't want to have to deal with RMDs. And so it's like, I'm just going to make the decision now to fill up more Roth buckets or maybe more brokerage account instead of 401k, and that's just fine. So I just like knowing the trade-offs there. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Will, anything else you'd add?
No, I agree. I think I love what you said about you. Yeah, you take the deduction and the marginal and you take the money out in the effective. And I think that's so powerful just in and of itself. And we always say, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. We got some kids going crazy outside.
They want to throw in some thoughts.
Sorry, guys. Here we go. We're going to mute
here.
The
boys are getting pumped. We don't care who are they picking for the game 7. This makes us real. This makes us human. You got a couple of boys out there throwing down. We love it.
I'll just say, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. Taxes are a long-term strategy, and the clickbait of like, oh, don't pay taxes on your Social Security, like that has nothing to do with how you should actually be planning your life. You should not plan your life around not paying taxes on Social Security, other than the things you can optimize with Roth conversions and those things.
Yep, exactly. Awesome, guys. This is great. Covered a lot, covered some crypto, covered some SpaceX, covered some Social Security income tax.
Crazy.
Covered the whole, a lot of different topics. So anything else, Jake, anything else you want to add?
No, this has been great.
Okay. Well, this will be the final call, I think, for the summit. If you're listening, you still want to get a late ticket. We actually just had like 3 or 4 people just sign up in the last week, which is awesome. You can still go to dennismoneysummit.com. I believe we are booked out of the main hotel where the event is, but there is another hotel across the parking lot. It's all on our website. So if you are still planning on coming or still want to come late entry, you can do that. We'd love to have you there. So dennismoneysummit.com. And then last thing, Launchpad. We have our second class coming out in September. If you're interested in this is now an 8-week course around everything you did not learn about money in dental school. We would love to have you. You can go to dennismoneylaunchpad.com. So for now, Will, Jake, thanks for being here and sharing your wisdom. Everyone, thanks for listening. That was our 2 cents. Till next time, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.